Okay, we are now going live on Facebook, so let's make a start. Good morning, everyone. My name is Andy Strawn. I work with NCUK, and it's my job really to support our study centre network across the regions on our screen in Africa, the Middle East, Europe, which is obviously where we find our partners, DIFC, and the Americas region as well. I've worked with NCUK now for coming up to 8 years, and in that time I've spent a lot of time working very closely with colleagues over in Ireland. So it is a great pleasure really to be bringing this hopefully informative and exciting session to you, talking about the opportunities that DIFC and NCUK can bring you as a student. We'll make a couple of quick introductions to my colleagues at DIFC, and then I'll run through a quick agenda and we will move on from there. So Nerily, over to you. Would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Hi, everyone. I'm Nerily Duffy. I'm the Digital Marketing Manager with DIFC. You're very welcome to the event. I've been working with DIFC for 5 years now and work directly with students who are applying to DIFC without the support of an education counsellor. So you're very welcome.
Thank you. And last but not least, Ray.
Thanks, Andy. Hi, good morning, everybody. My name is Ray Halpen, and I'm the Education Recruitment Manager for DIFC. I've worked quite closely with NCUK for the last 6 years, and especially with Andy in a number of markets where students can come to Ireland, and then after that can either stay in Ireland or go to a lot of our NCUK partner network all over the world.
Thank you very much. So as well as colleagues from obviously from NCUK and DIFC, we are also joined on the platform by a number of university representatives. Now, hopefully you've had an opportunity to sort of navigate around the platform and get an idea about how things work. But if you haven't, on the left-hand side of your screen, once you leave this presentation, there is a universities tab. Within that universities tab, there are a number of universities listed where there is a representative here on the platform ready to have a conversation with you. There's also lots of downloadable content for you to get a real idea as to what each and every one of our wonderful universities can offer you as a student. So please do take full advantage and really engage with university colleagues. Equally, both DIFC and NCUK have a shared booth, so we'd be more than happy to have a conversation with you and discuss any of the points that we're covering during the presentation. I'm just going to start with a very short video from NCUK. Hopefully the sound should be there. Slightly cheesy video, but it does encapsulate sort of what we do as an organisation, which is working with international students from all over the world to help them get onto their dream degree, both at undergraduate and at postgraduate level. So we do have a number of partnerships globally. We work with over 70 study centres. DIFC is one of those study centres, and we've been working closely with DIFC for pretty much 20 years now. So we've had hundreds of success stories going through our pathways, working closely with DIFC over in Ireland. All in all, we've had now close to 40,000 NCUK students progressing onto university. So it's very much a tried and trusted method. Our universities know NCUK very well. We know our universities very well. So we are very pleased and very proud of the pathway opportunities that we can offer our students. Now, to hear more about DIFC, I'm now going to hand over to my colleague Ray, who is going to give you an introduction to DIFC as well as the programs on offer. We want this to be an interactive session, so in the background, I will be monitoring if there are any questions coming through. Hopefully you should be able to submit the questions again through the platform. So please don't be shy, and we want you to engage as much as you would like to engage. So over to you, Ray. Thank you.
Great, thanks a million, Andy. Let me just share my screen. So I presume you can see everything there?
Yes.
Okay, so normally when I'm talking about DIFC, the first thing really is to give you a very quick introduction to Ireland. So top left, you can see Guinness, which is worldwide famous. It's kind of the national drink of Ireland. Top right is just a picture of St. Patrick's Day. Normally we have a parade on the 17th of March each year. Unfortunately, this year that was virtual, but we're hoping next year that we can get back to a new level of normal and start to get people engaging once again in the streets. Middle left is Kildare Village, which is very popular with students, international visitors and tourists. And middle right is a must-see if you come to Ireland. It's the Cliffs of Moher. And it's one of the most spectacular scenic views in Ireland that you'll ever find, and probably anywhere in the world, to be honest. Bottom left is a kind of a hidden gem. So it's actually called Skellig Michael. And nobody had ever heard of this until about 7 years ago. This is where Luke Skywalker was hiding in the latest Star Wars movies. And then bottom right is Giant's Causeway. Giant's Causeway is known for many reasons, both mythical, historical, and just for its sheer beauty. But for the younger people in the audience, it's also where a lot of filming of Game of Thrones happened. So it's become a very popular tourist destination as well. So as you can see on the map, Ireland is very close to the UK, but we are two separate countries. And obviously we're still part of the Eurozone. So we're now the only English-speaking country in the Eurozone. We're known as the land of saints and scholars. So we've got a very, very good reputation for being one of the best education systems in the world. We've got a very strong connectivity to industry. So there's a lot of huge American and global companies that choose to have the European headquarters in Ireland. Google, Facebook, Pfizer, Twitter, Oracle, LinkedIn, just to name a few. And we're going to talk about some of the NCUK partner network in the moment, and where you can study after your foundation. But one of the reasons that students might choose to study their foundation year in Ireland is to save a little bit of money. We're known as being a very affordable, high standard of education, and you can save maybe up to 25% between cost of living expenses and course fees during your foundation year. I'm going to skip over NCUK because obviously Andy has mentioned who they are, but DIFC, we're the largest foundation college in Ireland. We have students from over 30 different nationalities that would study with us each year. And some of our students choose to remain in Ireland, and then a lot of students and a growing number are actually choosing to go to the NCUK partner network globally. We offer programs at undergraduate level for foundation and also a pre-master's program as well, which I'll touch on a little bit in a few moments. As Andy said, we've been working with NCUK since 2004. So for 17 years, we've had this really strong relationship. So some of the students might be asking, well, why would I study foundation or pre-masters? You know, and sometimes it might be to improve your English level or your academic level. A lot of times it's to adjust to food, weather, culture, environment. But really, the strengths of DIFC and the foundation are we will teach you that independent learning that will allow you to stand on your own 2 feet when you get to university. And we offer a huge amount of personalized support and counseling that when you're making your applications, talking about where you can study, what you want to study, what's important to you. And with the NCUK network, we have that guaranteed progression to the NCUK partner universities. So a big part of what I was just talking about was placement counseling and support. And as you can see from the middle part of the slide, a growing number now are choosing after they've studied in Ireland to go to other countries like the UK and increasingly other places as well, like Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and the USA, all of which are options through the NCUK partner network. But there are many factors influencing these decisions. It's not just down to academic grades. It could be what your family can afford. It could be what's the work experience like in that city, both during your studies and also post-study as well. It could be the location or the facilities even on a university itself. And we help students to make all these decisions, so you choose the right university for you. So where can you study? As you can see on this slide, you know, NCUK have a huge network of universities all over the world, with 8 of the partner universities ranked in the top 100 in the world. So there really is something for everybody. And there are over 4,000 programs that you can choose from as well. Again, all of the advice that we would give would be individual. Obviously, being Irish, we do have Irish partner universities as well, as you can see on the screen too. And then for medicine, there are some very separate partners for medical programs and dentistry and pharmacy and nursing. And as you can see, there's a wide range of partners here again, and not just in Ireland and the UK, but also globally too. So there really is something for everyone. So if we look at what is the International Foundation Year itself, so it's basically a program that has been accredited by NARIC as being similar or equivalent to the 3 largest curriculum that are available around the world in high school, which will be A-levels, Australian high school curriculum and American high school curriculum. And it prepares students to go to university, but in a very focused way. It's graded in the same way, so A, B, C, D. And it's a combination of your final, so your final result is a combination. It's not just one exam. So it's a combination of your coursework and your final exam as well. A question we get asked a lot is, you know, will I need to take another Ielts test after I study at DIFC or study foundation? No, all partner universities will accept your English grade at DIFC instead of a second Ielts test. We have 2 intakes each year, one in September and one in January. And the program is designed, accredited, quality assured by NCUK through our long-standing relationship. So very simply, what are the programs? So we have 4 main programs at undergraduate level. We have health science, which leads to medicine, dentistry, nursing, business and management, which leads to business, economics, accountancy, finance, law, marketing, engineering and technology, which leads to all types of engineering degrees, plus computer science, IT, cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, and then a science program, which leads to all manner of science degrees, plus programs like pharmacy, psychology, and veterinary as well. You must be 17 years of age by the time you arrive at DIFC. You can apply when you're 16, but we accept a lot of different curriculums from around the world. So there are some generic ones like IGCSEs, A-levels, S-levels, IB, but you're better speaking to us directly about the qualifications from your own country. It will be too long a list to go through now. Also for the English, you must have at least 5.0 IELTS or equivalent, and this is a visa requirement to studying in Ireland as well. But other English tests are allowed, such as Pearson, the PTE test, TOEFL, TOEIC, and also Duolingo, which is a completely online test, which is being allowed currently. So what are the simple benefits of the foundation year? Well, it's equivalent to A-levels, as I said, but it's a program that's done in 6 or 9 months instead of a 2-year program. We keep our class sizes very small, so 15 students per class, which allows us to teach as a group, but also to teach students individually and to work with those students to improve their skills as well. And we will develop those learning skills that will allow you, when you get to university, to be self-motivated. And as I've mentioned twice already, the personalized support and guidance that we're offering at DIFC is second to none. It's what makes us stand out from a lot of other programs that you can choose all over the world, to help students to settle in, to make friends, you know, to join groups, to improve their academic levels. It literally can be anything, and we offer a very personal experience. And some simple reasons why students will choose DIFC. So as I mentioned, you know, medicine is a very popular program, but also the global network of partner universities with over 50 partner universities to choose from, and 8 of these very highly ranked, which is quite important in a number of markets. 100% of students who pass the program will achieve a place at university, and consistently over 90% of students get their first choice of university. And just before the current pandemic we find ourselves in, 98% of our students actually either got their first or second choice of university. We also offer a pre-master's program for postgraduate students. And, you know, a large part of the students who want to study pre-masters or study a master's, maybe they need some English level improvement. So they need to improve their Ielts level, but they don't want to do just a simple Ielts program, because the pre-masters is so much more than that. It's the academic skills, it's structured dissertation writing, it's research methods and data analysis. And in Ireland and the UK, you've got a 2-year stay back option. So Ireland and the UK are very popular destinations for postgraduate students for that reason. And again, we have 2 intakes. So we start in September or we start in January, and the IELTS is the exact same as well. So it's 5.0, but for January start, it's actually 5.5. And that's just a quick snapshot to show you what the actual program involves. So to qualify academically, you must have a degree, a bachelor's degree from your own country. And an important point just to be clear on is that the pre-master's program does not improve your GPA. So it doesn't get you into a university you didn't previously meet the academic entry requirements for. And for some countries like China, we also accept 3-year diploma holders onto the programs. And they do have more limited options. But again, you're best to speak to us on a one-on-one, case-by-case basis, so we can give you the advice that's just for you. So applying to university, you don't have to remember everything that's on this screen. It's just a quick snapshot to talk through the process. And we help students every step of the way, from the very beginning in terms of where do you want to study? What would you like to study? What can you afford to study? What can you meet the academic entry requirements for? Writing your personal statement, meeting with university partners. Like today, we normally have a university fair. You know, submitting your application, securing your offer. If you're traveling to the UK, giving you a visa tutorial on how you apply for the visa. And mostly you will apply for the visa to the UK from the British Embassy in Dublin. And that process takes normally about 1 week. For approval, and we talk you through all of these steps until you've actually received your final offer, made your final decision, and committed to the university that you want to go to. We are helping you every single step of the way. So a couple of simple pictures about Dublin. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but we do have a range of accommodation options, from on-campus to purpose-built student accommodation. And pre-COVID and post-COVID, we also have homestays where you can stay with an Irish family as well. We do encourage students to take part in the social events that we run. I've mentioned the pastoral care on a number of occasions because it's so important to us, but there are also a number of clubs and societies, whether your interests are sport or music or art or drama. We encourage all of our students to at least look at some of these programs for inclusion as well. And also to visit some of the sites that I showed you at the very beginning. You know, Ireland is a beautiful country, and if you're going to the UK or further afield, you may not be spending too much time here. So it would be a good idea to at least see some of the sites to be able to tell your friends and family about. So how do you apply? Very simply, and again, you don't have to remember this. If you simply contact us, we can talk you through the whole process, and we help you every step of the way to get to Ireland as well, in terms of issuing your offer letter, confirming your place, you know, booking your visa application, assisting you with that visa application, and then booking your flights and accommodation and arriving in Ireland too. So you're available to follow us on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, by all means. And I would just like to say thank you. And I'm going to pass you back to Andy, who I'm sure has some questions based on what I've just said.
Yes, thank you very much, Rain. I've been sent a couple of questions privately through the platform as well. So you've mentioned sort of around IELTS and how that works. Is it the same in terms of then applying to university with Ielts, or what's the process around that in obtaining a visa for sort of tertiary study?
Okay, so the simple rule with Ielts, and there's two parts to this question. So the first part is, I know for the UK, you have to take UK VI Ielts, but for Ireland, you don't. You can take the normal academic Ielts. So either or is okay with us. And you must have a minimum score of 5.0 for September start, or normally 5.5 for January start, because it's a shorter, more intensive program. So after you've completed your foundation studies, your EAP, or English for Academic Purposes grade, is accepted by the university as a valid entry requirement. Depending on the country, and we can't control, some countries may change their policy or revise their policy. And if they insist on an extra IELTS test, that may be beyond our control. But normally, the IELTS will be valid for 2 years. You know, so if you've taken your IELTS test just before you've started at DIFC, then that won't be an issue, because you have a valid IELTS test plus your EAP grade for entry into the university.
So to summarize, generally speaking, a student who wants to study on the foundation year, for example, at DIFC, they'll need 5.0 for September, 5.5 usually for January.
Yep.
Upon completing that program, they'll then use the EAP grade to then put that towards their university application if they're coming to the UK, for example. Is it any different for PMP?
No, it's the same. So nearly most of the offers that you will receive from the university will actually state something like IELTS 6.5 or equivalent, you know, which would be equivalent to an EAP grade B.
Yeah.
Some offers will actually state the specific NCUK DIFC requirement. So what they might say is EAP grade B, and then it could be grades BBC or AAA, you know, across the other subjects, depending on the program. Now, one important point just to mention, even though we're talking about 5.0 and 5.5, for medicine, it is slightly higher. So it's 5.5 for September, October entry, and 6.0 for January entry, because the medicine and dentistry grades specifically, you know, students need to be exiting the program with an EAP grade A.
Okay, but I guess it is sort of, yeah, I mean, the higher requirements do make sense for the medical route, but the sort of the summary from that is that sort of it's a real advantage for students really to be doing the NCUK qualifications at DIFC, because they don't have to do that additional IELTS to then move on to university. It's all sort of
Exactly
within the program. Okay, another question we've had, which inevitably we do have at most events around the world. Obviously, we understand that the cost of studying abroad can be an expensive one, and it is a concern for lots of families all over the world, really. So can you maybe talk about some of the possible scholarship opportunities that are available at DIFC, and then maybe on the end of that, I can maybe highlight some of the scholarship opportunities at the universities themselves?
Yeah, absolutely. In the past, Andy, we did have a number of scholarships, and we also had a number of scholarships specifically relating to coronavirus over the last, 12 to 18 months. This year, we made the decision to restructure our pricing. So some of the more generic programs, like IFY Business, for argument's sake, we've actually reduced the course fees by €3,000 this year. So instead of just offering a simple scholarship, and for pre-masters program, we actually reduced the course fees by €3,600 for October start, and by €5,600 for January start. For the other programs, what we found was, with the more specialist programs, price is less of a determining factor. For medicine, it's more about the progression opportunities. That said, we do understand, the situation. So what we have is we have an early payment discount. So if you pay your fees early, you can actually get a small reduction of your course fees for early commitment. And I know that not just at DIFC, but in the Irish partner universities, and you'll speak about it in the UK now in a moment, there's also a lot of scholarship opportunities there as well. Just to give you a really simple example from an Irish point of view, UCC pharmacy program, they have a €5,000 scholarship per year if you meet certain criteria. And maybe you could touch on some of the scholarship opportunities in the UK as well.
Okay, yeah, I mean, it's great to hear that there's support at foundation level and PMP level from DIFC, but equally, if anybody joining us wants to get more sort of juicy information about the scholarships available across the NCUK university network, so obviously once you go on to your degree program, there is a dedicated section on NCUK's website which is called scholarships, and this will list each and every one of the scholarships available across each university and tell you exactly what the criteria is to obtain that. Some of them are automatic, so you don't need to make an additional application. You put that university as your first choice, you get the grades from DIFC, you then progress, it will automatically be awarded. As you'd expect, there are some other scholarships which are based on academic merit, so the better you perform at DIFC on your qualification, the more likely it is that you will be able to obtain a higher scholarship. And equally, there are some other scholarships which are actually tailored to certain audiences and also to certain faculty areas. So I know, for example, that Aston University, who won University of the Year recently, they have a Woman in Engineering scholarship, which is up to a £5,000 award made to any female students who are looking to possibly go into the STEM field. So again, there's lots of different incentives for all types of students. So I would check out our website for that. So just as a final point really to make before we hand over to the exciting session where we can hear from some of our students, Ray, what should a student do if they are interested in sort of making the next steps and finding out more? Just to react that.
The most simple thing to do will be contact us directly at info@difc.ie, and then myself or Nerly can direct to the relevant person. But a number of people that will be on this call will also have their own education agent, who's either encouraged them to register today or they're working with in their home country. And if you speak to your education agent, then they will speak directly to the person in DIFC about what are the next steps. So normally the next steps will be where students have questions. So they've got questions that just relate to them and their family, and we can answer those individually. And we can also then ascertain if the student qualifies for the program. So if they meet the academic requirements, whether they've studied Gaokao in China or WIAC in Nigeria, or American high school curriculum in the Middle East, we will talk to the student individually about their own circumstances and then provide them with more information. Like, our job isn't to say to students, you must study at DIFC or you must study at NCUK. It's to provide students and parents with the right information that allows them to make the right decision for their family.
Fantastic. Okay, brilliant. Well, thank you very much for that, Ray. And again, just to emphasize, Ray, as well as Nerily, will be sticking around on the platform on the DIFC booth afterwards. So if you've got any further sort of specific questions about admissions or entry requirements or anything in between that, then please do stop by the booth. For now we're going to hand over to my colleague Nerily, who will be facilitating a panel session with some current and former NCUK students who will hopefully be able to share their experiences of their study at DIFC. So Nerily, over to you and the ambassadors who are joining us. You should be able to switch on your videos now if you wish to do so. And yeah, over to you, Nerily. Thank you. Looking forward to this.
Thank you very much, Andy, and welcome again, everyone. So what we're going to do in this session is hopefully make it quite interactive. We have three wonderful former DIFC and NCUK students joining us today, and you can put any questions you like to them about their study abroad experience, their experience at the universities, their experience with DIFC. So pop them into the Q&A section on the platform and we can put them to them. We do have a few questions that were sent through privately. I sent an email out a couple of days ago to attendees, so we'll start with those. But first, I'd like to welcome our student ambassadors. So we have Minjae Kim, Anas Farah, and Vitaly Dramoreski. Thank you very much for joining us today. So maybe we'll start with each of you giving a little bit of an introduction to yourself, a bit of a background about what you've studied so far, and if you've gone on to your working career, a little bit about that. So Minjae, do you want to give us a little introduction?
I joined the DIFC in 2017 as a business FYY. And after that, I went to University of Manchester to study psychology. And then after 3 years, I'm currently doing Masters of Public Health at Imperial College London. And I'm doing my medicine degree from September at the University of Kent.
Amazing. You had a slightly different alternative pathway because you always wanted to study medicine, didn't you? But you hadn't had the subject background. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. So I wasn't that much of a hard studying student or have an amazing background of study like records or any scientific background. So I chose the IFC to actually, my initial goal was to first study and then expand my horizon and choose the pathway from there. But I realized I actually really like studying and I really wanted to kind of devote myself into medicine. So I chose a little bit longer pathways, but it took me long, but I definitely don't regret of all my choices to get here. So yes, it's been a quite long journey, but I'm very satisfied with it overall.
Great, great. And Anas, you're on a medicine pathway. So do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So hello, good morning. My name is Anas Farah. Currently, I'm a second-year medical student at University of Central Lancashire in UK, and I joined the IFC back in 2019 in January actually. So so I ended up I got an offer from UCLan, and currently I'm a second-year medical student.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Of course.
And Vitaly, you were foundation year back in 2011.
Yeah, that's correct. Hi, everyone. I'm maybe the old timer here. It's been a long time ago. Yeah, so I did my foundation year in engineering back in the day at DIFC. And after that, I went to Sheffield University and I did my master's degree there in mechanical engineering. And currently I work for Shell, Royal Dutch Shell, and I'm currently living in Holland. Which is quite was not something I expected because now I need to learn Dutch on top of my English as well.
Dutch is a very hard language to learn, I think.
It is, yes.
Okay, so I suppose a common question we get, and it was a question we got it from a lot of students, was really, why did you choose to do the foundation in the first place? You know, what made you decide on the NCUK IFY as your pathway to university? Minjae, if you want to start with you.
So basically I had 2 options to go back to America and do all my SATs and all these American curriculum. But then compared with the IFC and all the tuition fee considered, I thought it's much quicker pathway. Because if I had to go back to America and do the SAT, it at least would have taken me at least 2 years to prepare. But by choosing the DIFC pathways, I took a January intake, so I could finish my program before June, July time and go straight to undergrad and prepare for my next steps. So the time factor, as well as a tuition fee at the DIFC and UK universities has actually was a big incentive for me to choose this pathway.
Yeah, definitely. And from a medicine perspective, Anas, what drove you to choose the foundation program?
So actually, I always want to study abroad. I live back in United Arab Emirates, and I didn't want to do medicine in Emirates, so I want to study abroad. So I was actually initially looking in Canada first, but my visa actually got rejected due to my nationality. So I actually looked to other to other pathways, and then I found the foundation program in Ireland, and I was actually lucky to be introduced from my agent, and yeah, I ended up in foundation program. I did, and it went all good, and I'm happy so far.
Very good. Vitaly, you had a different kind of introduction to the foundation program too, I think.
Yeah, so it was just my friend, or should I say the friend of my father, who recommended this program, because her son did the same foundation program in engineering and then went to Birmingham to study. And I didn't, to be honest, I didn't really believe that I'm gonna get enrolled, and until the day that I got the ticket, flight ticket to Ireland, and then I realized, then yeah, this is gonna change my life, and it did.
Amazing. Yeah. Okay, so you've chosen to study the foundation program. What drew you to choosing Ireland? Why did you choose to study in Ireland, particularly with each of you that you had your sights set on going to the UK next? So why did you choose the first step in Ireland? Vitaly, maybe we start with you.
Yeah, that's the same reason. Yeah, yeah, my friend had very good experiences in Ireland. He said that it's a beautiful country, very nice people, and the quality of education is very high. And then you got this opportunities that open up in front of you to go to the UK or continue studying in Ireland. That's the main reason.
Yeah, so it kept your options open a little bit too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What about you, Minjae?
To be honest, before I actually enrolled in DIFC, I didn't have much of a like background or knowledge of Ireland, because like I thought, like Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland, I thought it was the same country, like how dumb back then. But so actually I was introduced to this program by my boss, who I was working for, and since then, like I was doing my research, and I was surprised that actually so many Korean people live in Ireland. So I was keep doing my research, and I was keep reading people's experience living in Ireland, and they said it's a good country, and yeah, so and they speak English. Yeah, so the culture, I thought like the culture, they said like it's very like one of the friendliest country in Europe. So yeah, that kind of drew me into living in Ireland.
And how did you find the learning English with the Irish accent?
Oh, actually, it was quite good. It was quite fun. I lived in Ireland for like a year or so, and when I actually went to UK, I'm very easily influenced in the accent wise. So now I have a northern accent, like a British northern accent. But when I was living in Ireland, I got kind of influenced heavily an Irish accent. So when I first came to UK in Manchester, all my friends thought I was Irish a little bit. So yeah, so it's actually a really nice accent. Like, and there's actually like a lot of people in UK also really like Irish accent. So I do recommend practicing it for future students. Yeah, it's actually like really like attractive accent, I'd say.
And Anas, how did you come to decide to start in Ireland?
So many reasons, honestly, but one of the main reasons I chose Ireland because, again, due to my visa, they don't have any discrimination to any nationality, I believe, and I actually got my visa in less than 8 days, which is something rarely happens to me. And other than that, the people there, I heard the people there are lovely, and I've heard this rumor that the accent is very hard to understand there. But honestly, I don't know where that rumor came from. And I think many students think that Irish accent is very hard to understand. I don't think it's hard. I think it's unique, and it's actually, they have their own accent. It's actually very lovely, and it's very easy to understand. Yes, sometimes you need to adjust to it, but other than that, yeah.
And that's good to hear. I personally struggled with it when I first moved here. Okay, so maybe if we talk about your time in Dublin and what it was like to live as a student and study in Dublin. Was there opportunities for you to explore a bit of Ireland? What was the class schedule like? That sort of thing. So maybe we'll start with Anas.
As I mentioned, I went there in January so it was pretty cold, and I come from a very hot country, and it was my first time in Ireland that I actually saw snow. Well, a bit of snow, that's not that much, but yeah, it was my first time in Ireland that I actually saw a country that snows. And honestly, the people there are lovely. My almost on a daily basis, my schedule went from 9 to 4, 9 to 3 p.m. depends on the day. And I didn't actually look for any opportunities to work because I was just mainly focusing on studying. But I have a lot of spare time, and in my spare time, I would usually hang out with friends. Go lovely food, by the way, there as well. I would go to the restaurant, eat with my friends, come back to class, hang out at the library a bit, sometimes do my studies there. Depends on my mood. So yeah, that's it for me.
A nice balanced lifestyle.
Yes.
What about you, Minjay?
Yeah, it was quite good. I was a bit surprised by the rent price. It was actually a little bit higher than I expected, to be honest. But I chose to stay near the IFC instead of like homestaying with the Irish families because I wanted to have more of less transportation time. And work like studying in a life balance was quite good. I like personally, I like going out, like going to club, going to bar. So yeah, Dublin definitely has lots of options if you're up for those after COVID. So yeah, like it was really good place to hang out and study in Ireland, and it's definitely safer in comparison to Manchester. There's not much of a like I'd say uh like less of a racism like that I had to deal with in the IFC, like whilst I was studying in Ireland. So that was also one of the good sides. So
That's
yeah.
interesting. And what about you, Vitali? You were very focused on your studies, but what was life like
Yeah,
in
yeah,
Ireland?
yeah. I'm not sure if the IFC has moved anywhere, but at the time, I think you were based in this other university. I forgot his name.
College. Yes, we're still
Yeah,
there.
yeah, it's still there. All right, because I still remember that canteen that you guys have. It's like the best canteen ever. So I still
Just had a
sometimes dream.
makeover last year as well, so it's even better.
Okay. Well, I stayed in the halls of residence. This is the accommodation they provide, and that was amazing. Like I would just go to that canteen every day. Anyways, yeah. So Dublin is a beautiful place. Like you can hang out, you can yeah visit places, and it's just beautiful. I didn't have too much time to do that, to be honest. I was just focusing on my studies, and I didn't go around Ireland as well because I didn't have time for that. And I plan to do so once this COVID is over, because I still, yeah, still want to complete that and tick that box.
Yeah, you'll have to come by and visit us when you do.
Yeah, yeah, I will do, definitely.
Okay, so we'll move on to the pathway between foundation and university. And now that you've been through university, and that's you're in your second year, how do you feel the foundation year prepared you for university? You know, did it make that step into university easier? How do you feel compared to your classmates doing the same courses that you compare to them? And as we might start with you.
So when I actually went to UCLan the first year, it was like this things that I studied back in high school, and then when I did the foundation year, foundation was actually a bit more challenging than high school, but it actually helped me a lot through my first year in my university. I would say at least 20 to 25% of the material that I studied in the first year in my medical school was covered by the IFC. Especially in biology, especially in chemistry, and since I don't take math in medicine, but yeah, even a bit of math helped me actually, because we take a bit of math. But yeah, it's really helped me a lot. And the teachers back there, I appreciate one thing I really appreciate about the IFC, that the teachers take their time by explaining a very, let's say, a topic, where in the university a professor would take only 45 minutes to explain that topic, and rest and you have to do your studies alone. But back in the IFC, the teacher actually took 2 hours, and if you have any questions, you can get back to them, email them, and they would answer you. So I really appreciated that in the IFC. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. And how about the labs? You know, did the experience of doing the labs with DIFC help you at all
Yes, definitely. I'd never actually written lab report ever. It was my first lab report I've written was in the IFC, and definitely we've did more than 5 labs, if I recall, 3 and 2 in chemistry, if I recall them right, and it was like memorable experience, honestly, and they totally helped me in my first year in Nuclear.
Great. And what about you, Vitali? How did the foundation program, what kind of skills did it help you develop in order to succeed at university?
Yeah, first of all, I got pretty much the same comments as Anna's did about the lab reports and all that stuff. So that really helped a lot. When I first started at the university, it was just a piece of cake for me. I knew how it's done, and all the support so I was getting from the teachers at the time, that really was very useful. So the way I felt when I joined the university is that I got the core skills, and especially in physics and mathematics. So the first year, yeah, it was pretty easy because everything what that was said during the first year, I already saw that in DIFC. So for me, it was just a repetition. So yeah, the core skills that you get, they fit right in.
Yeah. So it gives you that breathing space to adjust to university life in the first year, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
What about you, Minja? You're on a slightly different pathway. So how did the skills transfer to university life?
Yeah, so for me, it was I changed my pathway from business stream to psychology, which was surprisingly more scientific than I thought. So I had to write elaborate reports, obviously, and lots of like this more of a scientific essays. So it was very different from what I prepared in DIFC. Obviously, like the format and how to write a long essays in English experience helped me, but I struggled a lot in the first year to get used to the lab report. So if I chose different like uh stream in DIFC, would have been easier. Yeah, it would have been much easier. But because I came unprepared throughout my whole 3 years university course, I had to put extra effort in lab reports, and I had to attend like extra seminar classes to uh like put more effort in it. So I would say, like, if you like for anyone who's applying, who already has a plan to apply for DIFC, I say, like, it's very crucial that you decide what you want to study and focus on that stream. Otherwise, you'll be unprepared. And when you first go to UK and UK universities, like all the students, like especially like top universities, they expect you to have certain levels of essay writing, and they expect you to you expect you to have like that kind of quality in you. So I would say choose a similar stream that you want to study in, and prepare yourself. Otherwise you'll struggle like me. Yeah.
Okay, but you got there in the end.
Yeah.
Okay, so during the foundation program, the process of applying to university is through the whole program. So can you talk about how that process works and how that worked for you? We might start with you, Min Jae, just in terms of applying to university for psychology. What was the process in DIFC for submitting those applications and for evaluating your options?
So I first arrived at the IFC in January, and like after a few months, like a month or so, we took little exam to get our expectation grades. So we applied to university based on that expectation grades and get a conditional offer. So once you get the conditional offer, you have to be very patient with this time, because I was anxious and keep emailing universities like when are you going to give me the conditional offer and blah blah blah. But yeah, so you have to be very patient in this stage. So after a few months of submitting your expectation grades, within a few months they'll give you a conditional offer, and within that conditional offer you have to meet that grade requirements, which you'll get after taking your main exams on June or May time, I believe. Yeah. And then after that, it's just visa issues. Like the whole, actually, the applying for the university is quite simple. All you have to do is just study, take exams, and good grades, and like get a reference letter, which your tutors will do amazing job on that area. Like they have very good experience and yeah, had already like very much of a successful applicants there. So they know how to write a really, really good recommendation letter. So all you just have to do is focus on your studies, I guess. That's
Yeah.
yeah,
Get the best grades you can.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And what about you, Vitaly? What was the process like? You know, how did you research your university options?
Yeah, well, that was 10 years ago, so I'm pretty sure the process has changed. Yeah, the way I searched for the university, I just went for yeah, the rankings, and I chose one of the best ones that was also the partners of DIFC, because I thought that was the easiest option to go for. And that's what I did, and I remember that DIFC helped me a lot with my applications at the time. And I think the process was pretty much the same as Minja just described about the conditional letter and stuff. But one thing I recall is that if you want to apply for, say, one of the top universities ever, like Oxford, for example, then you need to do it well in advance. Otherwise, you're gonna miss your opportunity. That was a main takeaway for me at the time.
Yeah, the top ranked universities have an earlier closing date, definitely. Yeah. Okay, very good. And Anas, from a medical perspective, what was the university placement process like? You know, you had a finite set of options really for the medical partners. What was the process in preparing you for those university applications?
So honestly, even before, like when I've heard about the FC, I've seen the partners and I've seen UCLan, and I've decided that I want to go to UCLan. So I've had actually one goal only, UCLan, and that's it. And when I went there to the IFC, and I still remember Tiago talking to us about the different partners such as RCSI, St. George in Grenada, and Debrecen University, all of this medicine. So I started changing my mind. And honestly, through the personal statement, and also since I wanted to apply to UCLan, I had to have a work experience at volunteer work and something called transferable skills statement, TSS, which is very hard to write, especially when you want to apply to medicine. And Tiago and other members of the IFC helped me through the personal statement, the TSS, and the application process and everything, and even the interview. And I still remember we had this session in UCLan. By the way, you have to travel to the UK and do an interview. So we had this session that we did an interviews, and they trained us to it, and they made sure that we're ready to it. And out of the 10 people, 6 got accepted, which is a very high number for UCLan to accept 6 from one foundation program. So yeah,
Absolutely. I remember those role-playing interviews. They're
definitely. Yes, they were.
Okay, so moving on, where are we now? I'm just checking on the time. Okay, we've got 5 minutes left. So if anyone has any questions they want to pop in the chat again, by all means do, but we'll kind of start wrapping up. So I'll put to each student your top tips for attendees for succeeding in their foundation program and university studies. What's your one top tip? We'll start with Minjay, sorry.
So I would say it's kind of really hard just to I'd say just enjoy like what you're doing, and I would say always kind of a plan forward, like plan ahead, like where you want to eventually head to, because like if I didn't have like straight plan, like there's very much of a challenges that you'll have to overcome, so I say plan ahead, always kind of be prepared, and just enjoy what you're doing, and always just to make sure that you're in a study that you want to do, because otherwise it's going to be just a long agony. Yeah.
Yeah, so really take some time to have a think about the type of career you want, the type of what you enjoy doing, and focus on those areas so that you don't have to change your pathway. Yeah,
definitely. If I just went straight to medicine course like Anna, it's it would have been much easier pathway for me. But because I didn't have a scientific background or I was not prepared, it took me a long route, which I'm very happy because along the way, I had amazing volunteer experience, and I had like amazing like friends. I met like amazing, I went to good master's program, and eventually it would help me throughout my doctor's career. But yeah, just stay ahead, like plan forward and stick to the plan. That's just my advice.
Yeah, and just touching on the volunteer experience, even before you start foundation, maybe looking into some, you know, work experience, volunteer experience, to explore those career options and see if they are actually something you're interested in. Could be a good idea. Okay, thank you very much. Anis, what's your top tip?
So honestly, I would say manage your time. The scientific foundation year and the IFC, I'm not saying it's hard. No, it's and obviously nothing comes with easy as well. It's a bit challenging, but I promise you, if you study, I would say even for 1 hour a day, you would be guaranteed. But 1 hour on a daily basis, you would be guaranteed. I promise you 3 A stars, maybe 4 A stars if your English is still good as well. But yeah, I've honestly had only one mistake that I've made the studies accumulate on me until the end, and 3 weeks before the exams I started studying very hard, so I struggled, gained a bit of weight obviously because I'm a stress eater, and but I ended up getting very high marks. I ended up getting accepted to 3 universities, UCLan and other 2, but I chose UCLan eventually. So yeah, just manage your time, enjoy your time, build relationships. Do not be shy, ask many questions. So yeah, that's
absolutely.
overall.
Thank you very much.
Of course.
And Vitali, your top tip?
Yeah, well, if you want to achieve success in anything, you got to put your time into it. And that also applies to your studies at DIFC. But also don't lose yourself, and yeah, don't forget your friends.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Minjay, Anas, and Vitali. You know, you've taken time out of your day. I know you have busy schedules, so thank you very much. And I hope everyone found this session really helpful. I know it's really great to hear direct from people who have been through this experience and come out the other side. You know, Vitali, you've got an amazing career, and Minjay, you're on your pathway to start medicine in September. So thank you very much for your time, and yeah, I hope everyone found that really helpful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Can I just say hi to Minjay? It seems like a long time ago since we met in Hongdae in Seoul.
Yeah, it did. Like I do remember like having pork belly with you at Hongdae.
Yeah, myself, yourself, and Sunny Lee.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that was actually my first thought of like this whole thing, and I'm very satisfied with my life now.
Yeah, well, I'm delighted. I'm delighted we were able to accept you in the beginning, and look how successful it's all turned out. So you're a fantastic story, and I'm still telling people all over Korea about you.
Oh, thank you so much.
감사합니다.
Yeah, thank you so much. 감사합니다.
Okay, thank you all very much. Just from an NCUK perspective, that was one of my favorite ever sessions that we've ever sort of hosted. 3 fantastic and very different success stories, which I think really do highlight sort of the endless opportunities that are there if you, as a student or a prospective student, really want to make it happen. So again, thank you from NCUK to Nerily for pulling that together, and of course to the students themselves, well, former students now, who are sort of on their pathways to greatness, if you like. So wonderful stuff. Okay, that now concludes the live aspect of this morning's session. As we've mentioned, this would now be a great opportunity once you've left the main stage to go into each and every one of the university booths. There are university colleagues who are ready and waiting. If you've got any questions about specific degrees or studying in certain cities or the cost of studying, scholarships, there are lots and lots of people on the platform ready to talk to you. Equally, if you want to continue the conversation with Ray or with Nerily, we do have a dedicated DIFC booth if you are wanting to find out some more information. So it's been a really informative session this morning. I've certainly enjoyed it and learned some new things even from an NCUK perspective. So Thank you both, Nerily and Ray, for your time and efforts. Do you want to say anything to conclude?
Just want to say thanks to you, Andy. You know, as always, you've supported DIFC. We've worked together quite closely for 6 years and look forward to working with you for many more years to come. And thanks very much for this morning. I also would reiterate what you just said. That was definitely one of the best Q&A sessions I've attended for anyone. It was really interesting, really informative. And for me personally, it was great to see Minjay, you know, 5 or 6 years later.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank yourself, Andy, for organising this, and our 3 student ambassadors, but also all the universities who are waiting in their booths for people to come and speak to them. So make sure you go and have a browse through the university booths, and myself and Ray and Andy will be in the DIFC and NCUK booth. So come and talk to us.
Thank you all very much. Best of luck, whatever journey you pick, and stay safe, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a million.